Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Union Arena versus video featuring Sword Art Online. And in this matchup, I am joined by Div from the TCG Haven community. He is playing the Yuuki deck, which is a late game green deck, and not in the same style like we've seen previously, where it wants to ramp into a big payoff. This is all about getting a certain number of Yukis in your sideline to get massive value out of the late game Asuna. And I am playing the Knights deck on the left. And you'll notice there I did push up and do an extra draw early because in this matchup, I have to be the aggressor. We know that late game, Div is going to be able to hold off and be able to do a multi-impact turn to really close out the game instantly. So for us as the Knights player, it does take a little bit of work to find the key pieces since we do have to have 3 very specific cards in the front line. So drawing early when you can while still chipping in damage and or finding your searchers to streamline your plays is extremely important. Div, on the other hand, is doing all of his normal setup where you have extra searchers or extra effects that draw and discard cards. And again, we are looking to discard the Yukis to have a late game Asuna, which is just going to apply a lot of pressure. One is going to be more impact focused, and the other one is going to be around damage too. So one thing I will say, again, as these versus videos are more about showcasing the highlights of what each deck is possible of, these were some of the earlier games. So there's a couple of misplays on my end. Unfortunately, there whiffing on one of our searchers was a huge miss, but we do need to keep in mind that for this deck, you really have to keep an Alice around for your special, which unfortunately I do missequence later on, which you're going to see coming up here shortly on the next turn. So this is a deck that's going to reward you if you put a lot of work into it and really practice, because this deck, as you're about to see, is all about setting up and finding that one really key explosive turn while having some removal to make it to where your opponent can't catch back up. Now, Div does find his Yuuki here. This is really the heart of this deck that he's playing because it gives you the extra draw. It is a key defensive piece. It's a 4K body, and it's also just good for getting into chip damage. Now, it is a bit vulnerable because we are playing a yellow deck to the color trigger and just remaining rested, but otherwise it is something that he is going to want to block with, and that way he's going to get effectively double blocks out of it, while also expanding on his own game plan of getting those additional Yukis into the sideline. Here we're just kind of confirming the various effects and the timing of it. So this next turn though is really important for us. So keep in mind, for Alice's effect, you want to have a Kirito, which is the step unit that we're playing, which is really important to have step to go manage your energy line. We need the Yu-Gi-Oh, which is always going to be a searcher, which we're going to have access to. His rate's very strong. And then Alice is all about getting both of them into the front line so you can have this big 4K pop-off and multiple swings all in the same turn. So this is where we see that exact combo coming online, where we have it, we got the searcher set up, we basically have a perfect start. Now, the unfortunate side, to make this the perfect opener for the Knights deck, we really wanted to see an action point restander to then go into the 4 energy Kirito. That is a 2 action point play that comes in and would then have double attack, making this a 5 attack turn, which will apply a lot of pressure to your opponent. Now, here is where I mess up because we were talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh raid searcher and I forget to look for another Alice. This is a huge misplay that cost me quite a bit. However, Alice is the most common card of the trio that you have in the deck, so it's also not too uncommon that we would draw into another copy. But I really just wanted to take a moment to highlight that the 3 children card is extremely strong in this deck, and again, because we don't have to discard, it is just a search and find 2 cards. It's really what holds this deck together. So while in my initial list, and the list will be in the pinned comment below, I only had 2 copies, and I'm not sure where the 3rd copy would come from, but it is definitely a card that you want to see every single game, just because of how important it is to find those 3 pieces that we see in our front line now. So he's going to go back into the U, again, just being a key searcher piece here, finding more pieces, getting the extra discard outlet, and you'll notice that Div is also separating his sideline so he has easy access to how many counts of Yuuki he has available to him. And again, the kind of key numbers that we're looking for this style of deck and different breakpoints are going to be 4. I think it's 3 for the special, actually, and then Asuna wants to have 6 or 8 to really get up there. So there are a lot of different cards with Yuuki. Sometimes you do just want to block early to get another one into the sideline if you're not finding your searchers to discard, or your SR Yuukis to get the additional cycling effect. And here we do see the Mother's Rosario, where we're getting the removal effect. He does have enough. And this one hurts a lot. Again, as I mentioned, the special for the deck that I was piloting on the left is all around Alice, and without having an Alice on field, we only have a 3K removal. So again, a couple misplays on my end, as well as a little bit of unlucky, and here's where you start to see I did a lot of cuts because I was really trying to think about how to play this matchup. But over the next couple turns, you'll see I'm really just digging for another Alice and realizing in real time kind of the massive mistake I had, because this is a key point in the game where Div has a significant number of Yuukis in his sideline, and we know that we are only on a 1 or 2 turn clock before he's able to kind of turn the tide of this battle and apply an insane amount of pressure with those 2 Asunas. So here we're just trying to, again, find some digging, try to find a couple extra points of chip damage where possible. We realize that we have to go into just a 4K body in the front, try to align something with impact on the next turn, and try to get those last couple points of damage in where possible. Now, to Div's fairness here, he doesn't really get anything out of his life, so he doesn't get any kind of lucky RNG on that side. He does have a 3500, so he gets the block here on our last step. And again, this deck really prioritizes trying to align on your next turn. That's why we had to play our 4K body to the front there, because on the next turn, we're trying to line up some raids. We're trying to line up special removal if we draw an Alice that is going to give us double 4K attackers plus an impact. However, he does have yet another Yuuki, which is going to slow down our aggression and also put him to the kind of that key threshold here while also discarding another. So you can see him fanning it out here. I realized very quickly that I'm in danger. This is, one of the last turns that I'm going to have, and he's going to be able to swing back very, very hard. And here's where he gets the Asuna as well. Again, wanting to hit that 6 number so you get the damage too, and really make a difficult decision of how much we're going to be punching through. So on his board, he has a impact at the top, a 4K body, which is, spoiler, just a 4K body. BP is a good break point, and then also the damage too on top of it. So from our end, we realize that we are just going to likely be dead on 2 turns from now. So we do need to take some damage. We need to find a color trigger. We need to find a special. We need to find an Alice. And very lucky for us, we do find that color trigger, which is going to clear the way for the Yuuki. And here we're just confirming the board that the other one is going to have impact. And at this whole time, the correct way, to be playing the yellow deck is we're actually holding on to a couple specials. So waiting for the turn that you find the color trigger to give you a free removal and clear the way into double special can win you the game on the spot. So based on the board, if we just draw into an Alice or find a searcher which can get an Alice, we very much have the win on the board here. And again, even without the color trigger, we would have been able to push through a significant amount of damage and line up a sequence that works. And here I'm just showing him because he's wondering why I was taking so long to think about my turn. Unfortunately, he has, the 3500 in the front. And because we don't have the Alice, we whiffed on the searcher, we whiffed on all this extra draw, we just can't do anything about it. So we took our extra draw. We're using Homemade Pie to do the action point restander, getting a 4K impact. So this would have been double impact with the one that we played on the previous turn. And then in every other situation, it would have been nice because Yu-Gi-Oh gives us the nullify impact. So we're just going to play the Kirito thinking maybe we hit a final, maybe we get some miracle out of our life. And on the next turn, we're going to draw into an Alice, which we can immediately play to the front field, have double special removal in our hand, and then Kirito then gaining double attack would allow us to push through for the last bits of damage, even if we don't have, 4 active cards in our front row. Here is unfortunately where Yuki's effect is going to come into play here, get the tap down effect. And again, he already has 1 impact on the board. He has a damage too. We have to be mindful of how much he's pushing through. He still has an impact in the back. So that is 2 life, double impact. It would have to get insanely lucky. And then unfortunately, he still has even more gas behind that, which is going to give him the boost and make it very difficult for us to find a line here that is going to work. But both decks really getting to showcase their strengths here. The early aggressive plays that the yellow deck can pop off with, and the late game effect with Yuuki just being able to have this amazing blowout turn with this board that he's developed. So thanks again to Div for joining us for another Versus video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe for future Union Arena content. But until next time, my friends, stay safe, stay hydrated, and we'll see you in the next video.